Banchero. Wide open look for two.
This is Paolo Banchero. On February 7th, he shot 6 for 17 from the field against the team with the worst defense in the entire league. For outsiders who don't pay attention to his game, perhaps you'd think this is a rare occurrence, but it's not. For years, the Magic have held this belief that Banchero would be the face of the franchise for years to come, and he himself desires to be the guy his team has always dreamed of. He was destined to lift the Orlando Magic back into the realm of contention, but is he good enough? Can he consistently perform at a level he needs to? As the former #1 pick back in 2022, the perception of Banchero was that he was an underrated yet high-ceiling prospect, a guy with a one-of-a-kind skill set. Being so agile at his size and moving the way he does at 6'10", it's a rare talent that we don't see often. If anything, he barely gets mentioned in mainstream media. However, between the stellar performances and flashy highlights is a man who is not as good as you think he is.
Little different. Here's Banchero making a move, and
when you observe his game in detail, there's way more flaws than you expect. And with the Magic stuck in mediocrity for so many years with Paolo and Franz Wagner as their two main guys, the truth slowly revealed itself. Let's take a look at why Orlando's next dynasty will not start with Paolo, but after him.
You got a very bad shot from Paolo. That's not what they were looking for, I'm sure.
Upon his arrival to the league, Banchero joined a team in the early stages of rebuilding. After a disappointing era where they didn't really find the success they yearned for, the franchise was still looking for the guy who can lead this team back into actual contention. Ever since the end of the Dwight Howard saga, they have yet to find that person. But by the end of Banchero's rookie season, they believed that they finally found their guy. Now, the initial projections of how his career would go were very mixed. A scout initially compared him to Julius Randle, in which he explained, quote, "Julius Randle is the comp for me. Great combination of size, dribble game, and passing. A good passer, but very turnover prone, not a rim protector, but may have some potential as a versatile switch defender." This analysis was prior to Banchero even getting drafted, but if you saw how successful his rookie year went, you'd think he'd be far better than Julius Randle ever was. However, I thought about this comparison, and there's one thing that makes them more similar than any of these things he mentioned. Their tunnel vision, which leads to sometimes abysmal shot selection. Randle took many years to improve on that, and for Banchero, it was obvious from his rookie year there's no shot in the world he's scared of taking. In between the games where he pops off and records 30-point bombs with like 15 rebounds, 7 assists, there are also even more games of him shooting like 6 for 20, 5 for 17, and turning the ball over like crazy. It's not rare for him to have dreadful shooting nights, but early on, this was a learning process, and eventually his shot selection should get better over time, right? Well, here's the thing that most people don't want to admit. A player's shot selection rarely changes over the course of their career, unless it's, a huge playstyle change, like for example, Brook Lopez going from a post-up center to a three-point sniper. It's very rare for a transformation like this to happen. For Banchero, however, here's a chart of every shot he took in his rookie season, compared to every shot he took in his 4th season. I mean, it's basically the exact same. Banchero has still been brute forcing his playstyle and still hoping the same shots he takes start going in more consistently. The result? Well, for the 4th year in a row, he's still scoring below league average efficiency. And as the NBA trends towards more and more efficient offenses, him and the Orlando Magic look like a relic of the past. Literally, their team looks straight out of the early 2000s. A few years ago, they may have gotten by with just their incredible defense alone, but without consistent offensive production from your star, the hopes of contending during the Banchero era is slowly disappearing. They want him on the ball too much. Ever since Banchero came into the league, the Magic noticed how versatile and talented he was. From his ball handling, his passing, and his scoring, they were fine with him doing everything, just like LeBron's first stint in Cleveland. They saw Banchero as a heliocentric player, whom the entire offense should be built around. There was one problem: he's nothing like a young LeBron. Not even close.
Paolo Banchero.
Even young LeBron was a better shooter during an era with even worse spacing. And obviously, he's far better at passing, finishing at the rim, defense, and basically everything else. For the 4th year in a row, however, Banchero has been near the top of the league in unassisted field goal attempts. Nearly 60% of his shots are unassisted, meaning he's creating his own shot more often than the vast majority of players, but he shouldn't be. The Magic have not yet come to terms with the fact that Paolo should not be on the ball so often. For example, he only hits 39% of his shots in isolation, only 29% on pull-ups, and the most important stat that everyone overlooks? His touch time numbers. There's a direct correlation between how long he holds the ball and how worse his efficiency is. The longer he holds it, the more likely he'll throw up a brick. The numbers indicate he shoots so well when he holds the ball less, and it means he has the potential to be a very good off-ball player. It's just he doesn't want to be an off-ball player, and the Magic don't want him to be one either. For comparison, these are the touch time stats for Luka Doncic. As you can tell, there's not much difference between how long he holds the ball and his effective field goal percentage. This is an example of a successful heliocentric player. When the offense is built around Luka, him and his team flourishes. For Banchero, not so much. The spacing is worse than you think. Here's a not-so-fun fact. Paolo Banchero currently shoots 61% within 5 feet of the basket. That's worse than the average shooting guard. Now, this is something you'd expect him to be better at, because, come on, the dude is a solid 6'10", 250, yet he finishes worse at the rim than a 37-year-old Russell Westbrook. How is this even possible? Well, you can boil it down to 2 main reasons. 1, the spacing around Banchero is so bad that the lane is congested, and every shot he takes in the paint is heavily contested. The spacing problem has been an issue for a long time, but even when the Magic got more competent shooters like Desmond Bane, Banchero's efficiency at the rim has barely changed. And the second reason? Perhaps Banchero is simply not good at finishing through contact. This wasn't exactly a strong point prior to his arrival to the NBA either. Even before, he had the ball handling skills, but a lack of finesse and touch that caused him to struggle to score when he gets close. He may be 6'10", but so many times when he gets to the paint, he forces an awkward shot that he's not good at hitting. Due to the lack of spacing with such few threatening shooters on the Magic, defenses can simply collapse on him to contest his attempt. The spacing issue is a years-long problem the Magic have yet to find a solution for. For the 4th season in a row, the Magic are about to finish in the bottom 6 in three-point percentage. It's not just their lack of three-point threats that hurt their spacing though, but also that Paolo himself does not provide any spacing for his teammates. Dude's three-point shot is completely random year by year. Sometimes it looks like he's improving, but statistically, it hasn't gotten any better since he came into the league. This whole dilemma leads back to his lack of off-ball movement. When he doesn't have the ball, he's usually standing at the three-point line doing nothing, and his defenders obviously don't care if he shoots a three anyway.
Back in the coverage now, Banchero left wide open, Young daring him to shoot. He does.
I took a look at Paolo's tracking dashboard on NBA.com, and apparently he only attempted 19 cuts in his first 40 games of the season. That's less than half a cut per game, yet he scores 68% of the time off a cut, which is very good. If he starts to cut more to the basket, that also improves his team's spacing because it lures defenders away from the three-point line to give his teammates a clean look. He's a huge threat while cutting to the rim, yet he almost never does it, which is perplexing. I guess it speaks to how poorly the Magic's offensive game plan is.
50 points for Paolo Banchero.
The Magic don't have a true first option. At one point, it seemed like Banchero and Franz Wagner were destined to be the young duo of the future. They're both 6'10", versatile forwards who can do everything, and for a while, the NBA was trending towards positionless basketball. They were the team of the future. Well, on paper, at least. Initially, Banchero and Wagner both seemed like number 1 option material, like the 1A and 1B primary scorers for the Magic. But as the years went by, the reality is both of them are actually number 2 options, and the team doesn't have a true number 1. According to PPP Stats, I ran a query for Paolo's net rating over the last 3 seasons. In nearly 6,000 minutes on the court, his team has a worse net rating with him. When Paolo's not playing, his team plays better. Obviously, net rating is not the perfect metric, but this is such a large sample size. It's across 3 seasons, so you can't really argue he makes his team better anymore. For comparison, almost every other All-Star, even on a losing team, makes their teams better. For example, this is Lauri Markkanen's net rating over the same 3-year stretch. The Jazz are way better when Markkanen plays, and way worse when he doesn't. That should be the case with every star, but apparently not Banchero. The idea that Banchero's team is consistently better without him over a long multi-year span means exactly as it says. His team plays better without him, and perhaps he's not qualified to be the team's first option the Magic had always hoped. The funny thing is, Banchero, despite his flaws, has never gotten the same criticism on a large scale, compared to guards or smaller players who also have a similar impact as him. A while ago, I made a video where I briefly talked about Jalen Green when he was in Houston, and I saw somebody say in the comments that Paolo Banchero is basically a 6'10" version of Jalen Green. I thought it was ridiculous. Because Banchero he's much bigger, so theoretically he should have a higher ceiling when it comes to scoring and defense. Yet their flaws and the criticism from their fans are actually very similar. They're both volume scorers at below average efficiency. They both have a similar assist to turnover ratio, which isn't good for how long they handle the ball. They both get tunnel vision and end up taking bad shots. The only difference is Paolo is 6 inches taller. Perhaps this comparison is a bit harsh, but only time will tell if the Banchero experiment will be a success or the Magic will reconsider moving in a different direction. Maybe not by trading him, but changing his role into something different. Something different where he can provide winning plays for his team. Anyway, thank y'all so much for watching. I know this video might seem a bit harsh, but these are my honest opinions about Banchero. For all y'all Magic fans or anyone else who watches him, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Do you truly believe Paolo is the guy who can lead them to compete for the championship, or does he have to take a step back? I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and of course, as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.